We rolling.
All right. Welcome, veteran listeners and new listeners to BoomBappED, capital ED. This is your boy, poet, MC, educator, Bushido Garvey, a.k.a. Brandon White, or Brandon White, a.k.a. Bushido Garvey, whichever you prefer.
Word, run it down on her, man. And I be Atlas on the mix. What's happening, Rochester?
And we got brother Rob Lowe on the tech, as per usual. Peace to Rob. And ladies and gentlemen, we definitely have a triple OG veteran in the building right now. Artist, coach, you know what I'm saying? Actor, visual expertise person. You feel me?
We run out of terms.
We run out of terms at
BoomBappED.
We got Trey Ezim in the building. What's good, Trey?
Give it up.
Peace, salute, man. Pleasure to be here, man. Pleasure to be here.
Word.
What's good with y'all fellas?
Not much, man. You know, we just chilling. You know, because here at BoomBappED, we have an honest, open, and clear-headed exploration of education and cultural issues focused on, but not limited to, the Rochester area through a hip-hop lens. So we're just going to go ahead and just drop right into it, bro. Who are you? Just give a quick little 1-minute intro of who you are, what you've done professionally, and just what makes you tick outside of work.
Trey Ezim. Been on the circuit of Rochester for a period of time. Some people know me to being on a show called Who's That Looking?
Yep.
And that's been a foundation for a lot of upcoming artists, you know, locally, and some that's not locally that I traveled to see from New York City, and I try to, you know, just make a gumbo of a show.
Indeed.
You know, with the variety of the cultures, you know, whether it be art, music, you know, poetry, you know, the acting with the short films and so forth. So that's what I somewhat dabbled in outside of, you know, my needs. You know, they always say you try to keep the balances of life of your wants and your needs. So
Facts.
that was something that I always wanted to do, and I spearheaded it when I came up here and, you know, met up with a couple of cats that was, you know, very artsy and very involved with the culture.
Indeed.
And I just tapped in my roots from the city and I brought it to the rock, you know.
Who's that looking? You never know.
You never know. That's what's up. That's what's up. That was a little logo thing there, you know. And that's funny because I somewhat adapt that slogan to, you know, everyday, you know, life living, you know, because you never know who's looking, you never know who's watching you and whatnot. And you know, the platform alone to just being exposed with your talent, you know, you never know who's looking and whatnot. And on your everyday life, you know, you never know who's looking to you know, bless you and whatnot, and see how your character moves and so forth. So you know, I kind of let that slogan, you know, follow me and follow others and whatnot. So yeah, that's what it is.
Indeed.
So second icebreaker question real quick. So if you could design $20 bill that was going to be going into circulation next, right? What artist would you put on the face of that $20 bill? First part of the question. After that, you get the first one straight out the mint. What are you spending that $20 on?
Whoa. So it could be a $20 bill, and it could be anybody or just
any artist.
Oh, an artist, okay. Oh man, I think it would be oh man, I hope I don't know. I would have to be in the core of somebody political.
Okay.
You know, it's attached to the dollar, currencies, you know, political and whatnot. I don't know what's going on today. Maybe it could be the lines of Bob Marley.
Dig it.
Let me see. Marcus Garvey.
Okay.
He's not an artist, right? So
he's a wordsmith for
he's
sure.
a wordsmith. You know what I'm saying? So people, you know, that's a good question. And what would I spend it on? I don't know. Maybe some good nourishment. You know, some good some good shakes. You know, some good, you know, stuff to throw in the blender there and make something healthy for. I don't know. That's a good question.
That's a Marley related type purchase too.
True,
well, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So that's what's up.
So you originally hail, you mentioned, from the city, NYC, that is, the Big Apple, Rotten Apple. You know, call it what you will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Born and raised in Queensbridge, Queensbridge, Projects Vernon.
Word.
It was a pleasure just, coming up. You couldn't tell me that hip hop wasn't birthed in Queensbridge. Everybody was talking about,
talking about the Bronx and all that.
The Bronx and the Bridge.
But you open up a portal here
and
now.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
I mean, Jungle said it, before, and I remember Nas saying it in an interview. And I'm sitting there listening to it, and I'm like, wow, I thought that I was the only person that ever felt that way. But that's because of the fact that I was just in that own element. Like, I'm from Queensbridge. That's all that I knew and saw. So when everybody was saying, uptown, they used to, jam in the parks and stuff. Like, I was a witness to seeing that in the River Park. You know what I'm saying? I lived in Vernon, across from Intelligent Hoodlum. It's so funny. I wish I could show y'all a text. Intelligent Hoodlum just hit me on the gram. Like, I don't know if it's, him, but how they say how these ghost people. But it was just a one word with a yo, But nonetheless, I grew up with Intelligent Hoodlum, Craig G. Marley Marl lived across the way from me. I lived in 4107 Vernon. You feel me? And these were the people who stirred up the pot with the hip hop. These guys that. I used to, as a kid, go to the park and hear gunshots before the party was over with and everything. But and from there I moved to Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn, and Halsey Street between Ralph and Patchen, the heart of Bed-Stuy, and it was just a journey between moving from that one element to the next, because it was just two different boroughs, but at the same token they still had the same element to loving hip hop, but I was just in the mix of the people who I thought invented it.
That's what's up, man. They're foundational figures you mentioned, man. So you have kind of an interesting perspective, man, coming from New York City, moving up to Rochester, and you've had some time up here to analyze and kind of, no doubt, to compare the two. Tell us a little bit about what you've noticed in Rochester artistically that is similar to and unique from Queens, New York City.
Well, there's a lot of, in the beginning, I'm going to say early 90s. I think it was somewhat, I'm going to say them. I'm going to say Upstate, trying to mimic what they probably saw on TV or whatever the case may be. And the culture within the 5 boroughs, it stemmed a lot of people who never heard of rap. So when you go upstate, it's like y'all from New York, but you're not from the 5 boroughs, but y'all still have a unique story to tell.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So y'all see how other people paint their stories from these core 5 boroughs. This is early 90s. Now as it developed, y'all started to get your own little vibe with how you. So there's a lot of unique stuff and there's a lot of mimicky stuff, but it didn't just gravitate from New York City, because there's a lot of southern roots that come from different parts of Rochester, and they flip it. So they got music down there that stemmed, and they take their stuff too. So it's kind of a blend of South and City up here that I've heard way before it started getting popular.
Okay, that's a fact, man.
And I don't know if y'all, what I'm saying, like way before it's popular. You feel what I'm saying? So, your Trick Daddies back then. I mean, you could go on with with the South, but
what reminds me of that a lot, like that blend. I think 38 Special reminds me of that blend a lot.
The drawl.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's still like an East Coast cadence, but it's like a Southern drawl almost. Exactly.
And he's very witty with the lyrics, so it's like the combination of what the topics are upstate, but the drawl of that. And they said that when 50 came out, he had that drawl, and he was able to switch it up and whatnot. So yeah, man, big difference, a lot of similarities and whatnot. A lot of talented people up here, even from the early 90s. And I used to always try to take the talent up here and go back to the city and vice versa. So that question, it kind of lies on a stamp of approval. Like whenever I brought artists up here, music to downstate, I would have some official cats listed to it. And like, yo, are these guys official or what? You know, and this is like early, ooh-wops.
Yeah, right.
Early stages of ooh-wop, you know, I'm listening, and they, you know, stamp of approval, you know, even 38, you know, Hassan Mackey, you know, there's a lot of cats that from that early era that I felt I could bring to the city and have no problem hitting the play button without somebody saying, yo, get that upstate bull, get out of here, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so,
indeed, man. Yo, so in addition to you being a liaison of sorts between like what, from this perspective, downstate culture of the 5 boroughs and upstate culture, Western New York, Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester. In addition to that, you've also, you know, put out mixtapes of your own with, you know, R&B, with hip hop. You've also directed, you know, TV series, TV shows, et cetera, right? How do you connect all your talents? Because whenever you hear the mixtapes, you still get the cinematic piece, and when you see the cinematic piece, you still see the music, right? So how do you connect all of that?
Well, I try to connect real talk music with the actual vibe, you know, that I'm going with. It could be you know, something I might be going through in my life, or it could be just something that someone else's, you know, problems or issue that I could tap into or have you. But as far as the many things that collaborate from the music and the movies and the series and so forth, the mixtapes was just somewhat of an outlet for me to just show people that I've done it and I can do it, and that was my first passion before, you know, me collaborating with other artists and so forth. But the thing was, when you make a independent film, there's a lot of people who make independent film, but they use a lot of other people's music and so forth in the industry. And it's like film 101. A lot of times you can, you know, someone get you know, sued or held accountable for it, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? And I try to be conscious of that, but not only being conscious of that, but it's like, why not give somebody else that you never heard a chance, you know, to be attached to a visual film, so it could be somewhat of a memorable moment within that scene and that song. So you can see a scene and be like, wow, you could attach that song to that scene and be like, yo, who was that? So if it's just a popular person that you constantly hear the same music, yeah, you can't attach it to that movie. I mean, you could say that you heard it in the movie, but you can also say that song was heard all over the world because it was already popular. So what I try to do was make my own music, attach it to some of my projects, and attach some of my people who was like-minded to the music that I was making and whatnot, and just running with it. You know, I wasn't really concerned about the amount of fans that I was getting with it, views or hits, or I mean, there's certain venues that I still would want to put some of my old stuff a part of, but you know, at the same token, time is, you know, of essence, and I'm still working. I still got another project that I, you know, hope to push out in the near future. Another side of Ezim that's slowly coming out and towards the end of the summer, what have you. But just keeping the ball rolling with being creative and not being stagnated. And I try to be my own competition within myself. You know, there's a lot of people that's doing what I've done, or seeing what I've done and try to emulate or have their own. I love it. Like, I love the growth or the inspiration. I might not get the credit, you know, for people, you know, starting new or whatever the case, but it's all good. Like, I like to give homage and pay homage to people who've even put me in a position to even create or have somebody to have an opinion about whatever I created.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So,
indeed.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a blessing, or, you know.
And so we talked a bit about how that art all connects. One thing that you might have mentioned it in the beginning of the show, but you being a coach as well, you coach
Basketball.
ball,
Yeah.
Right. So what does coaching ball teach you about your arts, and what do your arts teach you about coaching?
Oh wow, that's well. My early stages of my life, I still had that wants in my knees. You know, I wanted to do theater. I had to audition to be in my high school. You know, I had theater class in junior high school.
It was a performing arts high school?
192.
Yeah, gotcha.
In middle school in Queens.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Home of Troy Jackson, a.k.a. Escalade. Y'all talking about basketball. You feel me?
Right.
Stephen Frazier, what have you. but I had to audition to go to my high school and so forth, but I didn't think I was that good in basketball going into high school because I ain't have a left hand. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I always wanted to always be creative, but the balances of basketball, there's 5 positions on court. Everybody can't be, that one. There's a person that dictates where everybody should go, what have you. I think there's a lot of life lessons that you can learn through the sport. You feel me? And I took every lesson, that was in front of me with that sport, and I didn't keep it to myself. I couldn't even keep it to myself. Now, there's a lot of great players who can't teach the sport, whatever. I'm not the greatest, coach on earth, but granted, I try to implement what was instilled in me in terms of the life lessons outside of the game. You know what I'm saying? So that question in terms of the art, there are talented athletes who you wouldn't know that could draw, sing, juggle, whatever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But that highlight, in my life was once, a part of my life. I competed with some of the best of them. There's some people who I could say that made it to the league that I've competed against and so forth. But at the same token, I was put in a position to being a coach to teach those life lesson skills through the game. You know what I mean? I teach girls basketball. I teach unified sports, which is this special needs a unit of kids that combined with regular operating kids, and they're not that athletic, but they go out and they have fun. They show that they're also athletes as well, and parents come out and support and whatnot. But it's a blessing in disguise that creeps up on you, because sometimes you can become emotional with seeing a kid, right? And you see something in that kid that they don't even see in themselves, and they want to quit. And because it's not like, years ago where these kids go to parks and they play. It's been dumbed down, so it's really hard to get that interaction with any kind of, male role model that's gonna tell you, yo, you got talent, you could do this, you could do that, whatever the case. But the structure that I'm in, it's rewarding. It's a lot of stuff off the court that people don't even see. That if you stand on the sideline as a parent, it's like, yo, why is my kid not playing, or why you not passing my kid the ball? Why is it standing with the kid? And you don't see that there's a system that goes inside of everything. But for the most part, it's been a long journey. I plan to do it for a couple more years and whatnot to see what comes of it. And it's good to see players returning back and sharing their stories and getting a part of it as well. So
are there any young people either that you're training up in the arts that you're involved in, or that you have your eye on as that next generation?
Well, see, you're putting that's like a A&R term. That's being outdated. That's like, I used to always try to put that in some of my cards, my business cards and whatnot. But I have some kids that I tend to give advice to. That's from a new era, whether it be content. I can't control every thing a kid says, but structuring of the music versus there's some kids who really don't know the format of song making and so forth, and just those little techniques like that. But I did have a young man who that I recorded, and he never recorded before in the studio, and he's upcoming. I think he has the ability to make some noise and the rock, what have you. I made a name for him, and he was kind of, and that's the A&Rs do, right? They're like, well, I don't know about your name. I'm gonna make your name for you. You feel me? I'm gonna show you how to snap your finger, damn whatever. But I made his name for him. His name is Roc and Roll. I call him. They call him Ro. Right. You feel me? But I call him Roc and Roll. He has a song that he made, and he never was in the studio. and I have this, portable studio that I could, get around with, and I visited him, and I said, we're gonna record a song. So we recorded, and we started recording. He just, said his one verse straight up, and I just chopped up what he was saying and made it into a song. And then when he heard it again, he had to learn the format that I structured for a song, and he was like, wow, this is better than what I actually, so those little things right there, I tend to enjoy doing, but I don't seek out to go into doing it like how I used to when I used to be a part of the show. Like,
word.
There's people who still know that I used to do whatever the case. There's people like, let me get you my son, my daughter, whatever the case. I got another young lady that's supposed to be working on some projects, what have you. Man, forgive me if I can't get the name, but it's always a blessing to reach out if they reaching out back to you. If you got some kind of experience to give out, then you try to share it. Yeah, you gotta pass it, man.
Let me kind of build on that same question. So when you think about how hip hop is done now, what is something that previous generations can learn from the new that's out right now, and something that these new cats could learn from previous generations?
What can they learn?
Yeah. What can they take from each other?
Well, I think the old can learn from the new as far as evolution. Of course, there's some that would think that some older artists or older heads might not receive the evolution of this hip hop thing, acceptable, but. I can remember one point in time that they didn't think that this was gonna last. Like, I can remember me and my projects was like, yo, word, this hip hop, it's not gonna last, like for real, like, and I think what the new can learn from the old is respecting what came before them, if it was fed to them properly. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of people who's not feeding the newer generation, the substance of what embodied this foundation of the culture. You know what I'm saying? Of the expression, of you expressing yourself the way that you can. But at the same token, have a carbon copy, uniqueness to development for, your generation to come. Because what we consider to be timeless music, and then we say y'all haters, as they say. Oh, y'all hate because y'all don't understand. Like, we had parents that did the same thing. They didn't understand what we was doing. They didn't understand it, and there's a lot of hypocrites too when it comes to the game of hip hop. I say I don't like hip hop, I don't like rap music, but you singing the rap verse in the R&B song like word for word, that's hip hop. That's don't get it twisted. Like, you know what I'm saying, that's hip hop. Don't be no hypocrite to it, but I also think they can learn the value of collaborating the new to the old. Like I think they should be able to find a way to find some kind of median, to collaborate. And there's producers that's doing that. There's producers that's secretly doing that you probably don't know, that's getting that exposure to those older and younger cats, what have you, collaborating. But on the forefront, you won't see it that much. You won't see it that much. Hopefully that could turn around. Yeah, man.
Yo, man, so we're gonna do this quick little activity real fast. We're gonna do a piece of it and then we're gonna close because of time. We call this BoomBappED, right? Because the education piece of Bloom's taxonomy about analysis and evaluation, but done about hip hop lyrics. So I'm about to say a couple hip hop lyrics. All right?
Man.
And all I want you to do is just tell us what you believe the meaning is and what that person is telling the listener and how you know that, and then tell us what top percentile that hip hop line will fall in the history of all hip hop lines.
Oh wow!
All right, so if you, and I'm not gonna say who did it. I'm not gonna say the artist.
He said they ain't gonna say who did it.
I ain't gonna say who did it. Right?
Said it,
you might know some of these. You're gonna know some of these off the top for sure.
Man.
But I'm not gonna say who did.
Right.
So we're probably gonna do like one or two.
Nah, we got time.
We got time. Okay, cool. First line: homicide's illegal and death is the penalty. What justifies the homicide when he dies?
Yeah, would I give it rating wise?
This line is is on the top blank percent of hip hop lines. And
this top I know where it comes from as far as the cloth. I could say where the cloth came. Okay,
yep, absolutely.
That's from the Wu-Tang.
Spilling noses joints.
That's from the Wu-Tang camp. When that verse came out, it was bazonkas. It was nobody, scale. I think I give it a 7 up there. With the I mean, yeah, people who are underground know that, and there's people who don't know it. That's into the limelight of rap. What have you? I think they need to know it. They need to know that verse. Right there.
What's your interpretation of that lyric? Like, what's he mean when he says homicide's illegal and death is the penalty? What justifies the homicide when he dies?
When he dies is like, it's justification for whatever he did when he was presently alive.
Indeed.
You want to tell him who spit that?
Master Killer.
Master Killer.
Yep, it was that the mystery of chess boxing.
Chess boxing. Yep. That's awesome right there, man.
Yep. That's a crazy line.
Chess boxing, without.
If skill sold, truth be told, I'd probably be lyrically Talib Kweli. Truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil and I ain't been rhyming like common sense. What do you think he's trying to tell us? And then what percentile would that fall in?
Man, I will be up there with I will be up there in the 9s, man. I won't give it a solid 10 because I feel like it's a slight disrespect to your boy.
yeah.
So just a little bit. But that's from your Brooklyn bully, Jay-Z, Hov. I mean that line is a good metaphor. It's a good way of just explaining styles of rap. You know what I'm saying? I mean, back then, that's what he was making, and that's what Jay-Z was making. And then when you look at the years going by past that verse, your boy started making some chips too, right? Common started making some chips too.
That's a whole fact, son.
So that's how you look at that, what happened. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Word. Right. Ever since like the Black Album, literally since the Black Album.
Common was making some bread. Whether it be movie.
Right. He was like, let me branch out a little bit.
Start getting some of that Kanye money,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
Because there's a lot of people who wouldn't mind making common sense money right now, right?
That's a fact.
Okay, all right.
That's a whole fact. Word up. Last one I'm gonna pitch to you is, I guess you lose some and win some as long as the outcome is income. I guess you lose some and win some as long as the outcome is income. What they talking about? What's the percentile?
Wow, that's spicy. That's gonna be up there with 7 too. I mean, that's
you gave it a 7.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
It's not high, but it's still understandable to being like an everyday like a quote or something. And not to say that a lot of these verses and raps aren't. But that one right there, you win some, you lose some. What is it? Hey,
as long as the outcome is income.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this artist really cares about the art. He just cares about the income. You know what I'm saying?
You may be right about that too.
It's so
That's
crazy.
all he cares about is the income.
So you had mentioned 2 things that resonates, because you had said like the artist has like kind of like a common relatability, and the artist also might care more about the outcome, the income, right? And those are 2 major observations with our artist. That was a Drake line.
Gotcha. That's what he cares about.
Right.
That's what he cares about.
So one thing we always do, man, especially when we got a hip hop head through here, is we have to ask you your top 5 MCs. Now, can you run it down in 30 seconds, my man?
Top who?
Top 5 MCs.
Wow.
Word.
Oh man. Yeah, let me see. I'm not gonna go with the cliche. Oh man, your boy from Dead Prez.
Yeah, M1 or Stic-man.
Stic-man.
Yeah.
That's like the 3rd time somebody
Word.
said somebody.
He gets his piece around here.
Yeah, for real.
And I would like, it's a lot of time with the last ones right here, but I'm gonna have to go with Mos Def. You know.
Yeah, you got a nice little rounded out group there.
Yeah, and guess what? If someone was to ask me this question on another show,
right,
it'll be a different five.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I'm not loyal to I'm not loyal to the top 5.
That's what's up.
I feel you because
she got Raz Kaz, she got a lot of
man.
unique rappers. I mean, I don't know. That question is so hard. I mean, I love music.
It's next to impossible.
I love
man.
music. There's so many lanes that rap has created. You know, so many genres that it's created. You know, it's so impossible to like. You can almost say, yo, what's the best in this genre? What's the best in this genre? What's the best in this genre? What's the best in that? You know, so I don't know. You know, it depends on your vibe, you feel. You know, but that 5 is like, I mean, how many emotions does a human have? I mean, could you say 5? Is it
right? Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Indeed, man. Well,
dope.
Yo, we are very honored that you came through. You know what I'm saying? You're OG around here. We respect your opinion and your insight.
Yeah, pleasure, man.
You know what I'm saying? Please check out Trey Ezim's material on YouTube. It's all there. You know what I'm saying? Know who's that looking episodes yet? They ain't uploaded on YouTube yet. You know what I'm saying? We can always hope for that though. But yo, Trey, thanks for coming through.
Trey Ezim at yahoo.com. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
Appreciate y'all fellas, and when y'all keep on doing what y'all doing, y'all salute to y'all
all day, man. Respect. Peace, Rochester.
Peace.